Sandra Bullock may need to give back her Oscar. Former NFL star and subject of the award-winning film The Blind Side, Michael Oher, has alleged that his adoption was not real and was rather a conservatorship that increased his adoptive family's wealth. Oher has petitioned a court with allegations that the couple who became his adoptive parents, Sean and Leigh Ann Tuohy, never adopted him, but instead tricked him into signing a document making them his conservators and increasing their own wealth. That's according to ESPN. Now, the 2009 movie casts the story of an adoption of a teenage boy from poverty and into a white, wealthy family. Oher's petition claims that less than 3 months after he turned 18 in 2004, the family tricked him into signing a document making them his conservators, giving them the legal permission to make business deals in his name, a power he did not know that they'd been given.
The petition also claims that the deal paid the Tuohys to birth children millions in dollars of royalties from the Blindside film that made more than $300 million overall, while Oher received nothing for a story that he says, quote, would not have existed without him. Oher signed the paperwork for the conservatorship as a high school student, believing it was part of the adoption process. And according to the Washington Post, it wasn't until this February that he realized that him signing his name stripped away his rights. The petition states. It's also when he realized he was not, in fact, adopted by the Tuohys. Sean Tuohy has reportedly called Oher's claims insulting and told the Daily Memphian that they, quote, didn't make any money off the movie, only a share of proceeds from Michael Lewis's book, off of which the movie was based, of which everybody in the family, including Michael, got an equal share. Tuohy said everything happened as it did because the NCAA said that if Michael wanted to attend Ole Miss, he would have to be considered part of the family due to the family's status as a booster at the school, TMZ writes.
Well, he said, we contacted lawyers who had told us that we couldn't adopt over the age of 18. The only thing we could do was to have a conservatorship, so we were so concerned it was on the up and up that we made sure the biological mother came to court. Tuohy said he'd, of course, end the conservatorship if that's what Oher wanted. That's according to TMZ.
So,
I admit that I didn't follow this very closely. I never saw this movie, and I know very little about it.
Yeah, I didn't see the movie either. These kinds of narratives are not my favorite. There was a lot of discourse around the movie in the first instance about whether or not the valorization of these kinds of stories that are sometimes described as white savior stories was really appropriate. You know, Sandra Bullock did win an Oscar for this role. By all accounts, she did a very good job. We joked about her losing her Oscar at the top. That's obviously just a joke. She has nothing to do with this, and it's not her fault. But the question of whether or not there's like a public appetite for stories about, you know, white families saving down and out black people. In the movie, he's also portrayed as having kind of a mental impairment, being not very intelligent, which apparently the Tuohy signed off on because they had this power of attorney and the ability to dictate aspects of the story and the remuneration here. And that's something that Oher has always felt uncomfortable with and demonstrated discomfort with when asked about it in interviews. So right off the bat, it is in most states clearly possible to adopt someone over the age of 18. Now, whether or not there were going to be kind of financial implications for the Tuohys doing it after 18, before 18 in regards to the deal is a different question. But one of the things that seems most galling about this story is that Oher believed that he was sincerely adopted until recently. He, I think on some level, really believed that these people cared about him and is now coming to the realization, at least he believes so, and we'll see what the lawsuit how it resolves, but that the choices that were made by the Tuohys were not because they wanted to protect him as a member of their own family, because they wanted to enrich themselves. And so the New York Times writes that apparently Sean Tuohy Jr., the son of the biological son of Leigh and Sean, said in an interview with Barstool Sports on Monday that he made 60 or 70 grand over the course of the last 4 or 5 years from the movie. This is an old movie, and he's even now making that much money. So the idea that you would have been allegedly adopted, but not really, and your adoptive parents are not only enriching themselves through their relationship to you as a conservator, but that their real children are directly profiting from your story when you've been cut out of the deal is an incredibly exploitative and also just emotionally harmful
I mean, what he
situation.
said there is that they're what they've gotten is from the book, not the movie, and that was shared
Right,
equally.
but I just quoted you the son saying on Barstool Sports that he made 60 or 70,000 grand over the course of the last 4 years from the movie. So I don't know why he would lie in a way that incriminates himself and his family, at least in the eyes of the public. But that's from the son's own mouth. So, I mean, it looks like Oher has been very successful. He's had this lengthy NFL career. He has a beautiful family of his own now. And so it seems like some of this is about the money and the exploitation, but a lot of this is just about the emotional exploitation and the public exploitation of this young man's story for the purposes of selling books and movies and for one family's enrichment, when they, to be clear, were really framed by the public and in these stories as true heroes here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good reminder that usually things are a lot messier. Family money stuff can get real messy, even in families that were once close. It's all biological, inheritance, all that kind of stuff. Look, that it very well might be exactly the case that you laid out there, that he's laid out, and he should be entitled to, whatever he's entitled to. Conservatorships came up, right, with respect to Britney Spears and her dad having all this, power over her, including like over her biologically, right? She had a sort of device to prevent pregnancy, I think, that was required as part of it. It sounded very invasive. I remember talking about this, and people were really put off about it. But this is the kind of thing that happened. Dianne Feinstein, right, is seeking. Her daughter has power of attorney for her because of the tremendous wealth. But she's at a point in her life where maybe she's not, although she's still capable, I guess, of making decisions on behalf of national security for those implications in U.S. Congress. Maybe not should be the best person to handle her own finances at this point. So, these situations can be messy, and I am perfectly willing to believe it's exactly the way he said it. It also might be more complicated than I'm sure his lawsuit is structured to be.
I don't want to maybe this too much. The New York Times is reporting that for the Blindside movie, the Tuohys negotiated a contract of $225,000 plus 2.5% of future defined net proceeds for themselves and their biological children. This is according to the lawsuit. Yes, this is according to the lawsuit. But the specific allegation is there was obviously negotiated terms for profit from the movie, and that 2.5% in perpetuity of defined net profits going forward would help to explain why the Tuohy son is representing that he is still getting $60,000 to $70,000 a year from this movie. And again, the biological children were cut into that contract, not Oher himself.
I mean, if it's the case that they got all this money and he didn't, that seems very unfair and like theft, but... Yeah.
Well, last week, Oher told CBS Sports that he felt that the portrayal of his life in The Blind Side was inaccurate. This conversation took place before Oher publicly came forward with the allegations about a family conservatorship.
I think it took away the hard work and the dedication that I created from a child, and going to school in the third grade, getting myself up. First one in the locker room, last one out. And I think the biggest for me is, being portrayed, not being able to read or write. Second grade, I was doing plays in front of the school. And I think that's one of when you go into a locker room and your teammates don't think you can learn a playbook, that weighs heavy on someone, and you have to understand. I understand that the movie has given me a position. I'm honored to have the position it's given me, but you have to understand, before I moved in with the family, I was an All-American. That's what I want the generations behind me to see in this book right here, to understand that you don't have to have someone save you and rescue you to go out and be successful.
In regards to Oher's allegations, Sean Tuohy says, "We're devastated. It's upsetting to think we would make money off of any of our children, but we're going to love Michael at 37, just like we loved him at 16. The Tuohy's attorney, Steve Faris, declined to comment to ESPN yesterday and said that would be filing a legal response in the coming weeks.
Well, he should have every right to set the record straight, and hopefully as this proceeds, we'll learn more about verifying that it was, in fact, the way he said it was, which definitely sounds unfair to him. Tomorrow on Rising, Status Quo's Louis DeAngelis will join us for an East Palestine update. We know you've been waiting for that. And also another happy birthday to Briahna. I'm told we have some cupcakes in your honor. It's too soon to repeat cake, so I hope you're okay with cupcakes.
Also, how can I live up to the glory that was your Dungeons and Dragons cake?
Well, we're very excited. We're very hungry, so excited for that.
Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. For those of you who prefer to listen while you're on the move, we are available anywhere you listen to podcasts.
See you later.
Bye-bye.